What's going on, YouTube? Let's have another recap. And as always, it doesn't matter how perfect your technical analysis is, it is nothing compared to a Trump tweet. As we've seen many times before, we popped the market up on the old Trumpster remarks today. So this morning, I was looking for the pick in the downside. We had a perfect TA set up for this, and 557.68 was the target. We had a good little setup here where we could fail some of those GPs and come on down to 557.68. That was the call up in the Discord. We did okay in the P&Ls today, a lot of back and forth, but we ended up 2,500 on one account, 1,000 on the other. So just about $3,500 green today. So let's get into it. Now, the SPY, we had best case scenario ever till the Trumpster came out. And he ruined it all, which is pretty normal. So we're going to focus on the weekly right here, 559.64. And I really wanted to get down to 557.68, okay? So we opened up, had a chop fest, right? And the lowest point we could possibly muster was pre-market lows. Well, no big deal there. It was a little far from our target, even though we had a downside. It was about 3.5 points or so on ES for the downside. Luckily, we did catch some shorts to the downside here on some fib breaks on ES. And then I actually scalped a little bit of the inside here of the range, and it was looking garbage by the time we were off stream. We were just getting off, and I said, okay, there's that breakout. It'll probably come up to the 10 SMA daily. Worst case scenario, if you see it mount VWAP, which is our over under, and what we said on our chat was that 55964. If that weekly holds, we're going to snap up. And again, worst case scenario, if it starts heading towards yesterday's lows over the 10, don't even worry about the short target. We're not going to get her. So the Trumpster has us picked back up. So how would I have played this, and how did I play this? Well, I took the opening candle here on SPY, and I did a little intraday fib, and I matched it with my long-term fib. So I have last week's Fibonacci giving me a 50 point at 559.64. Last week's weekly Fibonacci, very strong. We have the pre-market low, which is a great double bottom that we had seen here from the open as well. So what I did is I grabbed that 830 candle, I did a high-low, and I matched it with what we needed to see on the weekly. So obviously we said VWAP, 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 VWAP. If we find trend above that VWAP, it's game over or under, didn't matter. But if you fibbed out here, this nice, beautiful little opening candle, which we do a lot of the time, if we can't find anything else super good, I'll fib out the 5-minute opening candle. So we fibbed that out and looked for confirmation, because confirmation is a thing that is going to, let me clean this up for you guys here a little bit. Confirmation is always a thing that's going to help. Holy, okay. My brain doesn't like that weekly overlap. Okay, there we go. So we know the weekly's on the top of the GP. Confirmation's the one thing that'll always save you from your TA targets. We never tunnel vision. We have to trade fluid. We always need to be able to swap bias. We talked a lot about that this morning too, being able to swap that bias over under the VWAP and paying attention to that opening candle. This is how we still squeaked out a nice little $3,500 green today. And the progression of the trend here from that GP was one of the big confirmational pieces on which way she was going to go, right? So if we would have got trend, and I kept saying trend above or below VWAP, not a snap below, not a snap above, not a snap below, a trend, right? One big high came back down for another higher low, right? So that push right there was a good little trend. Came back down, created another base in the golden pocket of the opening candle and pushed. And if you look at those Fibonacci extensions from that opening 5-minute candle, we pushed right into the 3618, okay? Pretty good for the opening candle. So if you would have waited for that confirmational break, and this one right here, that was quite the test. But another choppy day where Fibonacci does kind of save the day here, because in our rules, Fibonacci at the high-low points when it breaks out of the box, right, usually goes to the 1618 or other. And today we said the 5-minute 100 EMA and the 10 SMA was going to be about the longest point of this first move. So we said very carefully to our chat, watch that 5-minute 100 EMA, watch that 10 SMA daily. Those are going to be very big pivot points if we hit up and it pivoted down, right? So the Fibonacci rule is, though, with this box, it goes to the 1618 retrace and generally comes back down to confirm that support before moving to the 2618, which we did get here today. So that was a nice thing to see. It was very choppy. It wasn't very clean of a trend, but the Fibonacci would have helped you out here on confirms. Let's look at some of the other big confirming factors here in the oscillation, okay? So oscillation indicators, obviously the MACD here showing you tons of buying on that cross and swapping to the upside after 11:30:10. And that's, again, what I told my chat, trend definition after the EU closed, 10:30 a.m. Central to 11, which I always say you watch for the move then. Well, amazingly enough, right in between 10:30 and 11, that was the move. So The MACD here was showing a really good upside, right? RSI 2. Right? Beautiful. So we did get a lot of convergence here for that move. The wash right here was a good one because the 10 SMA daily and the 100 EMA intersected at the same point. We did say that was going to be a decent resistance point. Then it came down, then predicted that upside move from the golden pocket and confirmed. One of the other takeaways here that you guys should have been watching is the volatility index. So I was very, very, very adamant today in our chat saying, watch that volatility index, watch it. And I told my chat before I left, we're looking for that 3 down move into some supports that we had seen, right? And what did I say to them? I said, if we don't start the uptrend on the VIX, you are still not looking short. That is your confirmation, right? If the volatility index is going to set nothing but lower high, lower lows and start the trend down, and you're going to look at the oscillation indicators and you're going to determine that the volatility index is showing you it's trapped in the bottom of the RSI channel from 50 to 30. The MACD is trapped into the negative territory from the 0 line. You're not really assuming that the volatility index is going to reverse. So that was a big key point for our chat today. And I said, if we're not trending back up and attacking some of those gaps we left open on the open of the VIX, we are not going for that short. So being fluid and being open with your bias, which we expressed a bunch this morning, did save us for the confirmation. So the confirmations here, although kind of nasty from that pullback here, which was expected, it did come in the RSI, the MACD, and then, from that GP. So the lowest point of that day being pre-market, not too shabby. I'll give you another example here of what we could have played on this way back up, because there's a pretty good long-term, once in a great while we'll do 15s, and there is a really good no GP tag right here for a 15, and there is a really good half whole dollar here, 560, that just happens to be right near that GP. So when we are looking for intraday stuff to draw, if we see a big candle like this that snaps through and has intersecting points, I would have taken this 15 into consideration for a long follow through as well. So if we look at these fibs too, the fib rule played out very clean here on the 15. 15 is a little slow for my trade style, but for a confirmation, a lot of the times I will draw a Fibonacci on the longer standing time frame. Let's say in this scenario, it is the 15, and then I'll drop down to the 1 minute or 5 minute to determine entry exit. So I drew this from the 15, right? On that breakup, and I'm like, okay, well, if it would have rejected here again at the 10 SMA daily and came back down to that golden pocket, which we'd like to see, that would have been fine. But when we drew this 15-minute high-low, we determined that over-under is always the 100 fib or 0, whatever way you draw it. And that did click in as an over-under very cleanly, as you see here. So in the 5-minute, we broke up. We hit that little bit of that deviation. We had a prior level there. And the break over the 10 SMA kind of held back down, and after the 1618 tag, we came back down. So again, as I stated in the earlier part of this video, our rule for Fibonacci, if we break outside of the box, like we talked about on the 5-minute chart, we go to the 1618. After the 1618 is tagged, if we start a weakness breakdown, you will always watch for it to return to the 100 after the breakout and tag of the 1618. There is a high probability chance of hitting that 100 again before it wants to continue. And if you were to see that in a zoomed out kind of mode here, two different things happen on trend here. We did get a little bit of a higher high, and it did chop, and it is Friday, but we did start holding that 100 EMA. That's the moving average. So my favorite one I use is just the 100. It's a VWAP and 100. That's all we use nowadays. And for the breakup right here over that 100 EMA, connecting into the 1618, coming down to the 100, that is paired perfectly with that Fibonacci we just drew. There was a good amount of confirmation on trend. Not so much the oscillation later on in the day, but it was there right for that end. So small recap there. This is your last chance to get entered for the free membership if you want to come hang out and trade with us live. So we were giving away a free month membership, and all you got to do is comment Del22. That is sponsored by a premium member of mine in our premium Discord. So all you got to do is comment Del22. You also leave another comment of whatever you want, because I'm going to pick a random day this week between Monday and today, and we're going to grab any video. And for tomorrow's live stream at noon Central, we will be covering Anchor VWAPs and confirmation points with Fibonacci, and give you guys some more confirmational watches here, what we use. And the class tomorrow live is again noon Central, and I'll be giving away Top Step accounts, 50Kers, to anybody that commented Monday through Friday. Just take your PayPal, your Venmo. It's a free $50. I really don't care what you do. You don't got to buy a Top Step account, but it is a $50 giveaway every single week. Now this week, because of Del22, remember, comment Del22, no space. You will get a free membership as well. And if you want to see me trade this stuff live every single morning, links in the description. And if you just want to tune in for the next YouTube, also amazing. We'll see you then. Take care.